Is it Mayday for Nigerian workers, or is the situation of Mayday, Mayday, Mayday? And when you utter that as an aviator, is a cry for help, absolutely.
Yes, this Mayday, for example, is another golden opportunity for Nigerian workers to exhibit their grievances and their yearnings to the political class. I would say at this point that there are a whole lot of agitations, there are a whole lot of plight that have been put forward by the Nigerian workers. But unfortunately, government have been able, has really put a deaf ear about these yearnings. If you look at it realistically, in 2011, when the 18,000 minimum wage was put forward, the rate of dollar to naira was 110. Fast forward to 2018, what do we have? The same 18,000 naira and dollar is now 365, over 300% increment. Then if you look at how much was the pump price of PMS in 2011, it was 65 naira. What do we have today? 145 naira. You know that these two factors are cogent and high determinants of costs of living of Nigerian people and workers. And you should know that inflation has increased tremendously. So this type of mayday that has come is another opportunity for Nigeria. In fact, this may be the last opportunity to create that formidable change.
And that change would be
it has to be now. Election is around the corner.
Look, listening to South Africa labor war that's ongoing now, of course, we're going to be discussing that right after this. Some analysts are saying, look, it's time you moved away from demanding a raise in minimum wage. Otherwise, we'll continue to come back to the same point where inflation, the cost of forex and all of that continues to eat into whatever the minimum wage is, whether it's 6,000 or whatever. That what labor should be calling for is improved infrastructure, for example, working environment and what have you, in a way that it would definitely rub off on the minimum wage eventually.
Yes, everything go pari passu. First thing is there must be holistic plan for development. We've seen in the last 19 years that the government have been working towards bringing development, but we've not seen it. There are growth, but there is no development. That is one. Two, we should know that it is very, very unrealistic to live with the economic realities, with the amount that was stated or that was stipulated or that was agreed upon for over a couple of years now, and the present reality. In line with increment in minimum wage, there will definitely be some level of inflation, and that is why we have, a competent hand in government that, okay, you should be able to put robust policies in place to cushion this effect. Why did Buhari came up with 500 billion to cushion the effect of hardship on, for example, the youth, towards giving them some certain, incentives and allowances, or I'll call it wages. These are, ways government can look at things holistically. Industrialization, put infrastructures in place, attract foreign investors, and do a lot of things. Governance is not all about, and don't forget that it is not only minimum wage that labor has been clamoring for. Labor has been clamoring for improved welfare condition of Nigerian workers and other.
All right, Comrade Azuguni, governors, of course, have been saying that they should be given the chance to determine the minimum wage they think they would be able to pay. Don't you think that is more apt to avoid the problem, of course, which some states are facing already, of non-payment of salaries to workers?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Come again.
Okay, some governors generally anyway have been saying that they would love to be given the chance to determine the minimum wage that suits their states instead of being set by the federal government. Did you hear the question?
Yes, if I take it from what I got from you, the governors that are actually saying they want to determine salary by themselves, you already see the posture that these are anti-democratic governors, because we're talking about a unified salary. It goes beyond 66,500. We're talking about parity of pay. We're talking about equal work for equal pay. It's of the law. ILO convention has been domesticated in Nigeria. And I want to talk about national minimum wage. Nigeria is a signatory to it. It's a wage that no employer within the same nation should pay less. And therefore, when you allow state to determine salary, we're going to have a gallop salary system in the country, which eventually will create more crisis, and it will must generate poor production. So for us, national minimum wage is sacrosanct, and all we should do is to put our hands on decks to ensure that a reasonable minimum wage is set for Nigerian workers. It's even a shame that today we're talking about moving from 18. I don't think any good Nigerian or a governor should be proud of 18,000 naira and then talking about to determine how to pay from a state level. National minimum wage is what is operational everywhere, and we must encourage it.
But don't you think a democratized minimum wage, still staying with you, Comrade Amechi, a democratized minimum wage will actually engender competition among the states? I mean, if Lagos State, for example, pays 150,000 naira, the tendency is the person who lives in Kano or Ogun State, Osun State would want to work in Lagos and give their best to Lagos State. And, you know, the same could apply for any part of the country that pays well and pays better. Don't you think that might bring about some level of progress? Comrade Amechi? Okay, let me direct that question then to Debo right here in the studio, since Comrade Amechi did not hear my question. So to the question of democratizing, for want of a better word, of